Hello, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and welcome to week 5 covering chapters 12, 13, and 14. You're taking me in an online class, and this is a quick overview of the week. You're doing well. Your forums are getting more intense. Your forums are beginning to have some substance, and many of you are having your forums, your replies have quality and substance, and you're actually helping each other, similar to what you'd be doing as a supervisor. Remember, as we're going forward, we're going to week 5. So this is probably like a week 5 or week 6, just in case you forget. But this is a condensed class, probably an 8-week course you're taking me online, either in the summer or in the spring and the fall. But it's an 8-week class, so you're doing as much work in an 8-week class as you would in a traditional 16 weeks. So we're past the halfway point. In a few weeks, I think in a couple of weeks, next week, so I'll give you time to work on your research paper and have discussion on research paper. So you're doing pretty good. That's your major paper that you'll be presenting to me. But what I wanted to make sure that everyone knows that now I'm being less active in the forum. When I say less active, I'm not putting my 2 cents worth or trying to keep the forum going. It's your responsibility now to maintain the forum as you would to be developing that skill set you need for peer interaction and networking. As a supervisor, whether I'm a supervisor in a small company, a supervisor in a large company, or I'm a small business manager, many times when we have problems with issues or employees, we're going to be talking about counseling, we're talking about time management with employees, and we'll be talking about some problems, or if I'm looking at the conflict and changes, who do you have to throw ideas with? Sometimes you can't, a small office, you can't throw it to the people that you're working with. I mean, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but you have to conceptually, I'm going to try to find another course of action with this individual. He's a problem individual. But if I tell somebody else, it's me, I'm talking about the individual because they're equals and they may say something else. So I want to talk to another manager. So this is what I want you to start utilizing the forums. Now, when we get into the forums, you're going to post it into the forums, and we'll talk. I'm talking real generally, like I re-emphasize it again, and then you'll basically say, I have this great idea for time management. Try that, or I do a to-do list, a little different than what the author presented. What you want to do, I don't want you to regurgitating what the author has already told you. I want you to add on to it for each of the chapters going forward. And you have 3 quizzes, and there's no homework assignment where I say written paper submitted to me. Utilize that time that I'm giving you, because we're coming close to the end, to start thinking on your research paper. So I'm trying to do the forms and everything else with the chapters similar to what you'd be doing research for your presentation or your final paper. Okay, so let's go in here. So we have the 3 quizzes. I'm not going to go into that. You know how to do the link. Now, one thing you have to remember when you're in here in my class, in case sometimes students will go in here and they can't find it, or the link's not working, because I create links in here. Just basically go in here, course documents, and you could find that. Same thing on the forums. You could research the forums directly in here. If you're on your smartphones, you don't want to go through all the different steps. It's like when you call up on a radio, call up a customer service, and they say dial 1 for this, dial 2, and you already know the process. You've been dialing it 1,000 times to this company, so you just hit 1 at the appropriate time, or 3, and you don't have to go through the whole message. And you always have my short lectures. Remember, my short lectures, when I say short lectures, especially in an online class, there's like 30 to 40 minutes. If you'd been taking me to a face-to-face class, you'd be in my face-to-face class for 3 hours or 4 hours for each of the chapters. And I usually don't regurgitate, but I take that information and I expand on them. And so now what you're looking at, you've got my short YouTubes that are utilizing the concept maps, that you could always find the concept maps, mind maps from Dr. George, concept maps or mind maps interchangeably in the business world or in the training world or in the academic sector. Academic sector, they usually stick to mind maps. In the business world, we'll call them concept maps. That's what it is. It's not my mind. It's basically a conceptual map that tells me all the different areas, but I can look at it. It's not linear. It's all over, just like my mind is taking information in. So let me just flip one of these on here. I'm going to flip on chapter 12. Just in case you never utilize this, remember, you turn me on,
Hello.
And you
My
can
name's
hear me
Dr. George
again.
Mochocki,
You
and
could
welcome
turn me,
to
slow me down. You could turn me off, and you could fast forward me. You know what I mean? And one thing you could do, you could hit it on here, and you basically see the whole thing on here. So this way, give it a few seconds for your things to work on here, and then you could always, as it's going, you could stop me about like here, and oh, what did he say? And I could write that down. Remember, the more you utilize your senses, you read it, you write it. I got the PowerPoints that I already put in there, so you don't have to go through the link to the publisher. It makes it easier for you. I've got these concept maps. Sometimes I give you the full map. Write it down. What's he saying about? Now it all connects to everything. Kind of works out well for me. Okay, so you have that, so, and you can stop me. And if I don't understand anything, play back. Look, this is the best way to learn. For all of us, some of us, I could read it, and now my lectures, it's 30, 40 minutes, it's 40 minutes. It's me going through, talking to the thing so you can understand it. Just because you know the definitions and answer the quizzes and you write it down, and oh geez, I got 100, and now you're managing and you have no clue what the heck that means. I know I'm a good test taker, but I can't apply what I've learned. Part of going to college, part of being a manager, part of being a supervisor, what I'm learning here and applying it. When I would take classes for my own professional development, or even classes in my own field to keep me current while I'm teaching this, I'm always learning something. I'm like a sponge. I got something new. I'll run back and tell the whole class, online, virtual, and I think, look at this, think about this. And it's just how you learn. Because if you quit learning, you quit living. Well, not really quit living, but then you become dull, dude, nothing's happening. You always try to find something. Bring that passion. Keep that fire. Remember, those of you do any kind of camping, most of us do. Most of us have to turn the gas fire when the flame is gone. It just replenish it. Well, look at it that way. But mostly in a fire, when it starts kindling down, I add more coals. I add more logs in it, and it's new learning. That's what we call this for organization. You have to be a learning organization. To be a learning organization, I have to have learning individuals that always want to learn, always want to exceed. How do I use different things? Okay. So I'll go back into Blackboard. So I'll get rid of this. Let me go back into Blackboard here. And sorry, I got kicked out here. I'm back in here. Let me go real quickly, and I'll go into my weekly assignments. Because I got on week 5. Okay, so we've got this now. The form. Let's go into the form. The quizzes we have that. We have the form. What I'm going to ask you in the forms. Remember, again in the form. Let me make this just a little bit bigger. Technology will help us that don't have glasses. On the form, it's going to be a little different. It's going to be. I got 25 points in here. And let me change that right off the bat here because I've updated it. Because I'm not giving you any homework assignments in here at all. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to raise it up to 30 points. So you kind of make some extra point. But you have to give me quality because you're going to be doing a little bit more work. You're not doing a homework assignment. But the work you're going to be doing here in the forum is going to basically help you for your paper. Now, there's a lot I'm requiring here, so I'm not going to have like I may in the middle of the week throw in what do you call it? A water cooler, question talking about the exam, the papers, everything due. But next week, what's going to do? You're going to have the 3 chapters again. You're going to have the last 3 chapters, 15, 16, 17, and I'll go over it. But the form will be basically a little bit on the form, but most of you have like 2 forms maybe running to see how it's going to work. One's going to be to ask some questions on that, or I'm looking at it just making one complete forum just for. Questions on your research paper. You can help each other out. I can answer some questions, but mostly it'll be other students helping you out. I've got other online classes. I'll jump in, but you may want to, at this time, hey, I'm stuck. How do I find this information? Does anyone know how to use this database? And that's something where another student will say, hey, I can help you. Similar, remember how I'm building you up to have your network of peers and other individuals you could rely on. A lot of times of those networks, what you're developing here or dealing with employees is that once I have that connection with the individual, remember, one of the things we were talking about power is a connection is a source of power, so you'll have other individuals you're helping out. Just because they don't respond to you or just because they don't give you any information, don't knock them off the network, you know what I mean? Because they may not have anything, you may not run across. Because sometimes I'll know something, I'll help them out. I'm not always asking for something back in return, but if you run across something, I'm very grateful. Okay, so you have this. So what you're going to be doing, you're going to ask new supervisors or owners. So what I am going to, okay, so I submitted that. So I committed to that. So let's see. So here's where we're at. You're going to be forms will be a little different. I want you to use this class as a resource from a supervisor's perspective, covering this week's readings on conflict, change, and politics. So there's conflicts, change, and politics. As a new supervisor or owners, we need to develop a peer network of supervisors we can bounce off ideas. I talked about that, blah, blah, blah. I want everyone to contribute or add to this week's chapter's reading. You got to read the chapters, at least one chapter in your post, and in the subject area, you'll post something in there. Hey, I got this good time management techniques, or this was something that works well at home, or this works well for my personal time management, or this is how I resolve conflict, or I saw my boss resolve conflict, or I saw this a link and I'm providing and resolve conflicts and talk a little bit about it. You know what I mean? So everyone must add something from their own experience, either work or school recommendation, to improve. Don't regurgitate what you read. We already heard that. Take it on, because remember, you're going to have people do some tasks, going to read some information. Part of a first-line supervisor, you're basically a teacher or trainer. I've taken this, you found this, how could I apply this? How could I apply this? How does this make sense? How could you help me? This is what worked for me. I don't know. Let me see. That worked for you that way? How could I tweak it for my office? How could I tweak it for a smaller one? How could I tweak it for my own personal life? All this is information that's how you develop your skill set of being an effective supervisor or manager or owner. And what happens here is you could toss back because you're with your peers. They may not have that issue. Man, I never thought about it. What happens? You don't want to have that issue, and all of a sudden, let me Google. 1 second, I'll get back to you. Person choking another person. Person being verbal abuse. What do I do? 1 second. What do I Google? What is a person? You don't have the time. You should be able to have some kind of plan and your tools, the bag as a supervisor. I've heard this before. Wait a minute, this may work this way. What did he say? Diffuse. Two people are fighting. Push them apart. Sit down over here. Sit down here. Take some time to think about it. Let me think about it myself. And then you get your composure. Don't try to resolve it while they're there. Push them apart. Find the facts. Because the emotion. Once the emotion's there, you got to kindle the fire. You got to put some water on it to steam it down. So breathe. It's already blowing up. It's fire and firefighter. Contain it. Reduce it. Have them thinking about it. Let it simmer. Now they have a calm head. And then bring them back and start thinking, and then you start going through the different resolution. How am I changing? What's happening? You got some abuses. You've got some people that may have some alcohol and drug problems. That's what you're going to find out. So how do I do? What do I do? What are the process? And this is how, this whole conversation, just like if you'd be in my face-to-face class, you read the material, and now we're discussing it through the forums. The forums are another way of you learning. Other than reading, you're just a walking encyclopedia. How do I apply this? And that's what we're doing the last few chapters, okay, the last few weeks. So you got, and you had to touch on something. So you read the chapter 1, put something in there at least by Tuesday, and then the second time you're responding to other individuals, put chapter 13 in there, and then you read it and responded to the quizzes, and now you keep this thing going. Now the forum should be active through the whole thing, and I should get, remember, I'm at least looking for a paragraph or two. Don't give me a one, once in a while I'll even say, hey, good job, to let you know I'm in there, but you're the ones that have to communicate with your employee. You put all this out, no one says anything. That either means you didn't get that message, or you're that clear that out of your 15 people, everyone understood that. What are the odds of that happening? Not too good. I mean, even if they are odds, you want to make sure, so you'll ask some other question. If someone's not responding to you, respond to the other thing. I'm looking for different, in this case, I gave you more points. I'm looking for you to reply to my post. Usually we're at 4 points now since I got 3 different chapters. So in every subject area, it's not like this is chapter 13. Don't tell me chapter 13. This is time management. This is an issue. Because I want you to bring one aspect. Remember, out of every chapter, when you're dealing with your teams, you cannot push everything at one time. You slowly change culture. You slowly bring information. So here's your team. So you're going to be talking time management. Even though they've got time management stress, here's one way to release stress through time management. If when I was that supervisor, or when I was one of your workers like you, here's how I did time management. I wrote this on a board. Here's how I resolved conflict when I was a little grasshopper. I was making that up. Use something. Give me some fact, because that's how you developed how to communicate. You could send something to your employee, or you're learning. You're learning either the classroom, and since it's a virtual classroom and we're connecting, you're learning through the forums. Okay? So that takes care of that. Man, that was a hard one. That was pretty good. Okay, so I have the forums. What else do I have in here? You have my short lectures. Remember, you always have that. No written homework assignment. Try to use a little time. There's not much time. Remember, we talked about time management. You're going to find out. You always got to put a little bit of time. Let's see, this one. Yeah, if I'm looking at time management, creates stress. If you don't know how to manage your time, so I have some extra time. Use the time wisely. Do some other homework, or if you got some extra time, always make sure in your day or every other day, daily, you should have at least an hour to your own self. Your lunch, put all the stuff away. It's one thing you have to do working a luncheon meeting. Okay, that's different because your boss calls that. But if you got your own time, spend some time. Go away. Get out of the office. Don't say I'm going to have lunch in here, because if you're doing lunch, I got to do this, I got to do it. Get outside, walk outside. Even if it's cold, walk around the office, visit your people. That's your lunch, just to get away someplace where you could have some time to yourself and kind of calm down. Or when you get home, make sure some people go to the gym afterwards, some people go to the gym before. Relieve the stress. Don't have a road rage. Calm down. And then basically always in your time management calendar, half an hour for George. I mean, not for me as an instructor. Pretend your name is George or Sally or whatever your name is. Okay, so that takes care of that. And you've got my mind maps. Remember, if you don't find my mind maps here, because sometimes I'll put the links. These are only links to go to mind map. You could always find them right in here. And students print them out and they look at them and they use them. And I've created a PowerPoint that is 6. And they're basically the PowerPoints. If I look at these PowerPoints, these are the PowerPoints that you could do the link. I just created them right in here for you so you could go right into them. And you have the students version. And remember, don't print out the whole thing. You could print out a copy section. I'm not doing a training on that, but most of you should know how to do PowerPoints, Microsoft Word, and some Excel. You're not doing some Excel in here, but you may take me for finance. And remember, I'm teaching, and you'll check on me to see what I'm teaching in other classes, so you should do pretty good. Okay, so my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and we are in, where are we? Weekly assignments. And we are in week 5. Right now, week 5 will open up usually by Sunday midnight, or sometimes earlier for my individuals who want to get a head start, but the forums are usually already open. You could find them always in here even though the week is not open. And sometimes the quiz, you could go in here also. If I have it open, you can take the quiz prior to when I officially open, once I open up that week's quizzes. Okay? So you're doing well. Keep up the good work. Just light at the end of the tunnel, for lack of better words. I teach other online classes, advertising, management, organizational behavior, the supervision class, once in a while finance, international management, international business. So keep an eye out for me, and I'll see you in our next weekly discussion, and I'll see you shortly in the forum. Have a nice day, and you're doing great. Just hang in there. Look at the overall grade. Some of you are better than others. This is a lot of material covering, but you're learning. The whole thing. So I got a C, so I got a B, so I got an A. Did you learn something? That's what I'm trying to do. Did I take what I'm here? Did you learn it? And could you see that the value and the use of it in the real life situation? That's what you come into college here. That's what Harper wants to offer you. That's what Harper's offers you. That's not taking a quiz. We want to be interactive, and most people now going forward, your teams are going to be online, or you're Skyping them, or you're FaceTiming them if you're using the Apple product, and you're doing a communication. You send them email, and learning how you communicate, how you do in a forum, how you do a discussion is when you're going to be on teams at your work, and you have to discuss, and you have to do like some kind of discussion groups, a little different than in the classroom, but there's software out there that basically does the same live discussions that you could do it, or with your companies. Like companies have interface or software platform that allows employees and teams to on live discuss and either view themselves or like in a meeting. Meeting.com. I'm just thinking one of the ones out there. Okay, so I'll see you next week. I said enough. Have a nice day, and I enjoy always talking to you in the forums. And if you see me on campus, down the road, we're going to have your pictures in there. I'm working on that with IT because it's available. Just want to they want to take care of some issues. You can always find me on Harper, iTunes, links, other classes I think, and videos if you're taking a class and I'm not your instructor, but you think, hey, George could help me out. I utilize concepts and maps in there. That's why the iTunes U is there. For this instructor may be presented this way, but the styles doesn't match. But he's my instructor, she's my instructor. They're good. So this is like a supplemental things that I understand how George is thinking, using the concept maps and he's following. We're still using the same books, so we should be okay. Have a nice day, and thank you again for taking this class. In a little bit, you'll be all over it, and you'll be looking for another instructor, and you'll be looking for new learning again. My name is Dr. George Mochocki. This is Harper College. This is an overview for weekly assignments, and we're in week 5, covering chapters 12, 13, and 14. Bye.